Let's hear from the man of the hour.
All right. Thank you, Curly.
Just won his now, Jimmy, when I introduce you next year, it'll be our 6th-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Certainly, Jimmy, now you're 3rd on the all-time list, only one behind NASCAR Hall of Famers Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. You won this championship 19 points ahead of second-place Matt Kenseth. And just talk about this season. Talk about the chase. Just talk about winning the 6th championship.
Just when I look back on the year, I think about the Gen 6 car and the race to figure out what the car wanted for speed, and the hard work from everybody at Hendrick, and then the way we've been able to connect through the 48 team and find speed in the car and develop the car and kind of innovate where the garage area, kind of is today with the setups that are in the car. I give Chad all the credit in the world for honing in on those things and finding speed and building me fast race cars. And we were in position to win a lot throughout the course of the year. Unfortunately, we gave a bunch away. I think we could be sitting here with a lot higher win total. But at the end of the day, we won the big prize, and that kind of helped us through some of those races that got away, was focusing on the big prize and knowing that we had speed and making sure that we were organized and had our inventory of cars and tests set up, ready to roll. So just well-executed year, top to bottom, especially in these final 10 races. We didn't leave many points on the table. I can look back in a few tracks and think we could have had a few more points. But it really was a strong 10 weeks, and that's what it takes. I mean, last year we had 8 great weeks and didn't come up with it. Matt had 9. You have to have 10 great weeks to be the champion, and we got it done this year.
Certainly, Jimmy, this is a huge accomplishment, and not only in NASCAR but in the sports field. So congratulations.
Thank you, buddy.
On this. We'll take questions now from Jimmie Johnson, and I think Ed had his hand up. So did Mike. Let's go to Ed Hinton.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jimmy, I heard you say out in Victory Lane you really don't think we should start this whole discussion about 7 or 8 and who's the best of all time until you hang your helmet up. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, the discussion's already begun. Denny Hamlin just said in here a while ago he thinks you're the best there's ever been. Richard Childress said on Friday that you could go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest. Richard Petty thinks you could go and win 8 or 10 championships. Now, with all that going on already, how can you avoid this discussion? I mean, it seems like now for the rest of your career, you're going to be chasing history in some form or other.
Yeah, I agree. That reality I'm fine with, and look forward to the opportunity and hope that I can certainly accomplish more. And I feel like this team is capable of a lot of great things, and there's still great years out ahead of us. But all of that is in the future, a 7th and 8th. Richard said 8 to 10. That's all out ahead of us, and I just don't want to focus on that yet. It's just not time. I'm going to unplug and enjoy the 6th and let it soak in, and we'll get to Daytona for testing soon enough, and I guess by then it's probably appropriate to ask the question. But I'm just humbled by the nice things that have been said by competitors and owners and my peers in this industry, and I think their opinion is very important, but I don't think my opinion matters. It's not for the athlete, the driver. It's bestowed upon you. It's passed down from others. And if others are saying it, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to chase it away. I mean, sure, I would love to be considered that. But if you look at stats, there's still numbers out there that I need to achieve, and that's why I say until I hang my helmet up, it's not necessarily a fair conversation to have. But honored to be in the conversation, and I know I'm going to have to face it, especially being this close to 7 and being able to have a shot at tie those guys.
Go up to Mike Hembry, and then over to Greg Engel. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Hembry, Athlon Sports. Jimmy, you you came into the night needing only a 23rd, which season stats show it, but it would have been difficult for you not to get that. However, obviously you could have blown an engine or gotten a crash or whatever. Could you start the race looking at it as a normal race because of all that? I know guys always say it was just, we just need to do what we've always done. But was that really the case tonight? Could you start the race just as another race?
I truthfully and honestly did, and it's my first time in 11 starts down here. I guess I haven't fought for 11 championships down here, but in all, we just had a lot of things going in the right direction, and it allowed me to enter this entire weekend. Is stress-free as I've ever. I mean, it felt like a normal race. It really, really did. Now, with 74 to go, when everything hit the fan out there on the front stretch, it got real serious. I'm not gonna lie. But up until then, it was the most calm and relaxed environment that I've ever had down here.
Let's go to Greg Engel, then to Roger, and then to Bob. Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Engel, cupscene.com, examiner.com. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And in years past, because we all that watch know how hard you work for this, all of you. But in years past, not every fan was a fan of what you did. Tonight, however, there was, I don't think, any disdain or any boos or anything. When you got out of that car and you heard that roar of that crowd cheering you on, how did that feel in comparison to some of the years past?
It's awesome to hear the cheers, and I guess I haven't been close enough to it all to know and feel, but I'm sure there's people that aren't so happy with 48 winning the championship. That's just how it goes. But I don't frame in my day, my week, my year, any of that based on that. We're a very tight-knit race team and go to work and do our job. And if people want to hate on us, hating technically is whining, so they can whine all they want. And my hardcore fan base that supports me, I love them and appreciate it.
Let's go to Roger right here, and then to Bob Pockris, and then to the gentleman right there, then Lewis.
Roger Holtzclaw, Speedway Media. Congratulations to all you guys. Two quick parts, Jimmy. One, we've talked about the possibility of obviously winning 7 or 8 championships, but also you're only 38 years old. Have you given any thought to the possibility of reaching 105 wins? And the second part is, how does it feel to finally have everyone on Twitter on your side?
I did have some great support over the last couple of days, which is awesome. And yes, I am an athlete, and so is every driver in one of these race cars. Even Tony Stewart, even though he's got a little, carrying a little. I completely forgot what your question was. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's obtainable. I think, with all the wins Jeff has had, Jeff is going to set the mark for the current era in race wins. I don't know how you can get there. It's just the number's way too big. Triple digits is insane to think of.
Let's go over here to Bob Pockris, and the gentleman right behind you, and then to Lewis.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Jimmy, you've talked a little bit about wanting to enjoy this one more maybe than you had let yourself enjoy some of the previous ones. I'm curious, A, was it as enjoyable or more enjoyable going through these last 10 weeks than other past championships? And B, what have you done in the last maybe 2 hours to make it more fun and enjoyable as far as the celebration?
Last year I think I was in a very similar space. The last 2 races didn't go well, so that kind of changed things. So we made it, 8 races through with a very similar, enjoyable mindset, just racing hard and not feeling the pressure, just being in the moment and able to answer the bell at times. And we won at Martinsville last year in Texas and had ourselves right in the thick of things. And that was very similar to this year in how things felt. In the last couple hours, I don't know how to describe it, but just looking around and soaking it in, and I kind of do care how long I'm here tonight, but I really don't. you know, just want to enjoy the moment. I've looked at the track 4 or 5 times. I watched my guys tear down the pit box in the pits as I was doing another interview a few minutes ago, and they all got in a big huddle, and I'm not sure what they said. They were too far away for me to see it, but they were all rallied up in a huddle, and I'm watching from afar and soaking it in, just like, there's my boys, you know? So I'm just trying to enjoy it and soak it all in. I don't know how to really describe it, to be honest.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Jimmy. Eben Brown, Fox News Radio. I was here when you won number 4 and number 5, and I asked you this question. I'd like to do it again, especially in light of the Twitter war that's been going on. People compare you to some other NASCAR greats, but now, and even more so now, they're comparing you to other sports greats, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, so on and so forth. Do you see yourself as that type of world-class athlete? Your colleagues have been calling you a world-class athlete tonight. How do you see yourself?
Never thought of it. When you mentioned Michael's name, he's giving me a hard time that I've only won 5, so I can't wait to send him a text and say, hey, buddy, I've caught up. But I guess I need to, it's not like me to think in that light it's just not me. So I guess I need to open my mind to it because the numbers speak for themselves, and I find myself in a touchy situation at times where my quiet approach can be looked at as arrogant or cocky, and that is furthest thing from the truth and what I'm trying to portray. So, you know, honestly, I'm just trying to, say the right things and keep my mind in the right space, because I haven't let a lot in, and it's led to more success, and it's kept my work ethic intact, and it's kept me honest and humble. And I like that about myself. I really, really do. So I don't know if I want to open my mind up and let it in and where I might stand in the sports world. It's not time for that in my eyes.
Lewis?
Lewis Frank Speed Week. Earlier, Chad pointed out that other than a few key people, you have a virtually new team this year. I was wondering, how much did you have any apprehension at the beginning of the year, and what do you do with your new crew guys to gel?
You know, getting the year started, we got off to a quick start with the Daytona 500 and opened up at the other tracks with strong performances. But we could see where things were going. You know, Chad has a great vision on the support system that needs to be in place so that we can make the right decisions. And, you know, Dave Ellens, who's our engineer, was with us last year for a race or so when Greg Ives had to take leave for his child being born. So we had a little taste of Dave then and transitioned well. And there are we have a new shot guy, another new engineer. Well, Pete moved up, but new faces and new places, to say the least. But Chad has had a great vision on how the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and that's really in his department and world. And he's not afraid to make a change if need be. And we did make a change earlier in the year, on top of off-season changes, just to kind of get the ingredients right, and it certainly paid off.
Let's go to George. George had a question, then we'll go to the press box, and then I have a question for you. Go ahead.
I don't know. It's the follow-up. It's going to be hard, you know, set up to the commander. Anyway, Jimmy, right in front here. George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel.
Commander.
You touched on this at Victory Lane. Can you elaborate a little bit about the emotions of your grandmother passing and those that unfortunately have gone in your life?
Yeah, you know, these moments, I wish I could share them with so many I grew up with, from friends, people that worked on my off-road trucks, my dirt bikes, ASA cars, on and on. You know, it's hard to thank everybody, but through it all, you know, my family's been my biggest fan and my biggest support. You know, my mom and my dad. I lost my 2 grandfathers and my grandmother on my dad's side through the last 10 years, 15 years, and you know they were just so proud of what I was chasing and there for me and supporting me. And then my grandmother unfortunately passed away last month. She was 92 and the biggest 48 fan out there. and she didn't like the beard too much, so I feel bad about that. But I stuck with the beard. But outside of the beard, I haven't done a thing wrong in her eyes, which is kind of crazy. But you know, she unfortunately I wasn't able to make the funeral either, which stings a little bit. We were here testing the way everything unfolded, so I knew she would want me to work on my car and make sure that I got to victory lane. And again, she's my biggest fan, so I know she was riding around there on that race car with me tonight.
So we're clearing the press box. Any other questions downstairs? Jimmy, like I said, Dustin's got one. Go ahead.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Jimmy, you talk about not letting things in your head and the challenges that you may face forward. What have, I guess, been the biggest challenges through the years past that you had to overcome through each championship? What would be the challenge you foresee at this point as you move forward in repeating this, duplicating the success, continuing this type of success? What, I guess, and maybe it's too early, but if you look ahead, what's the challenge, or is it as much against you or the garage, or what?
Well, I think keeping the 48 in its sweet spot. If it's people and the connection and the relationship and bond that we have, that's a big part of our success. And then, where our sport's heading, I think, is the other piece. There's change coming. Don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but from the competition side, we know the rules package is going to change. You always hear a little rumbling about format changing and other aspects changing. Our sport's ever changing and trying to adjust to an ever-changing world. So the target's moving on us, but I feel like we can chase the target pretty darn well, especially if we stay connected and united as we have, and I don't see why that would change any.
Okay, Jimmy, you are becoming the first athlete, and notice I say athlete, to host Sports Center on ESPN this Tuesday night at 6 o'clock.
I am scared to death. That means I actually have to read something, which is...
Well, can you talk about that, and how are you going to prepare for that? That's a daunting task.
Yeah.
But just talk about that. That is a very, very cool
We've been working on it for a while, and with Lydia's birth kind of around a period of time we zeroed in on, we weren't able to pull it off earlier in the year. And I thought that I was relieved of my obligation there, but it is showing back up. Honored to do it, but man, I have a hard enough time at the podium reading a simple acceptance speech. So to be on for a live show trying to read a teleprompter is probably the most nerve-wracking thing I think I'm going to do this year.